It's time for you to create your fate.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If we are new friends, I'm life coach Meg Ellis. And this channel is all about giving you the tools to create your absolute best life ever. And if you've noticed, this is not my recording studio. This is actually my home, my office. I live in Houston, Texas, and we've been hit with storm after storm. First, there was this crazy tornado and then this wild tropical storm. And then we actually had a hurricane. So all in the span of about 2 months. And unfortunately, my recording studio did not survive the chaos. So I've been recording the audio version of the show at home. Literally picture me in a closet with a microphone trying to manage 2 crazy dogs. Like, literally, it's been wild. So my new studio is just about ready. And while I've still been streaming the podcast audios on those platforms, I felt called to at least share the audio here with my episode. So while this might not be the best high-tech production over here for a few weeks, I thought it's actually more important to get you the content. So the last couple episodes have actually been really, really good. Some serious drops of knowledge. And I did not want you guys to miss out. So thanks for showing up for me on YouTube. I promise to keep showing up for you even through all this crazy weather. So if you see this video, just know that the audio is about to stream and that I will be back on video in the next couple of weeks. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for sticking around. And of course, I'll be leaving you with one last thing. Expect good things always.
Welcome back to Create Your Fate, the life coaching podcast designed to give you the tools to create your absolute best life ever. I'm your host, life coach Meg Ellis, and I've helped thousands of people create beautiful, fulfilling lives by applying the law of attraction, the Enneagram, and many other mindset techniques. And today we are talking about how to get the most out of life. So life coaching is not just for people who are in a rut. It's for helping you get the most out of life. So today we're going to go over the signs that you most likely are not getting the most out of life. And I'm going to share 8 simple ways to actually get the most out of life. And the most amazing thing is you can start doing them today, immediately. Start getting the most out of life because who doesn't want that? Let's be honest. And I'm actually going to be sharing a powerful manifesting technique with you that's all about getting the most out of the moments. It's beautiful. It has helped me so much. Especially as an Enneagram 7, it's hard to be happy with what you have. We're in this culture of like, we always want more, more, and more. And it's not just Enneagram 7s. It's a lot of people. It's like, we always want more. But I'm going to teach you not to go for the more. I'm going to teach you how to go for the most. And it's probably easier than you think. So I'm going to be sharing 6 signs that you are actually not getting the most out of your life. As I read these off, make a little mental check mark. Hey, yeah, that does kind of sound like me. So first reason that you might not be getting the most out of your life is you are feeling low on motivation and you feel like you're not in control of your life. If that is you, just make a little, yep, that's me. That's 1. Number 2, your personal impact on your life and your life surroundings, it feels quite insignificant to you and that bothers you. So again, if that is you, just make a little, yep, that sounds like me. Number 3, you find yourself constantly distracted or distracting yourself or always so busy. Number 4, you find it hard to stay present and your mind is always elsewhere. Number 5, you find yourself talking yourself out of your dreams because you are too scared to go after them. And number 6, your focus is external. So that could mean you are a people pleaser. It could mean that you're filled with envy of other people's success. Or it could mean that you are consumed with what people think of you. And you're just making your life's moves based on that. So these are the signs that life is good. I'm not necessarily in a rut, but I'm not getting the most out of life. Let's talk about how to actually get the most out of life because, hey, if you are one of those check marks or if you're all 6, it does not feel good. And the good news is you don't have to stay that way. So the first way to get the most out of life is to be aware and extremely careful what you focus on. Because what you focus on, you get more of. That is literally the law of attraction. What I focus on, my attention That's where I get more energy. Energy flows where my attention goes. And so if you feel like you are not getting the most out of life, you likely are focusing on these 4 things. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be all 4. You are focusing on what you don't want. You are focusing on what you don't have, what you can't change, and what you can't control. And what happens is these things keep you in a bound up victim mentality. It's something that my business coach friend Lydia, she calls the point of power, where you feel powerless and you leave yourself powerless when you're thinking about, what you don't want, what you don't have, what you can't change, and what you can't control. It's below that point of power. When you are below the point of power and you're focusing on all these things, you leave yourself absolutely powerless. And what does this look like? Well, you're probably blaming a lot of people, a lot of external situations, right? Going external. You're likely making excuses for yourself, and you might even be in denial about things. We don't want to be powerless. You're not going to be able to get the most out of life if you remain powerless. So we're going to rise above the point of power. We're going to take accountability. We're going to take ownership of our thoughts here, our actions, our words, everything. We're going to take responsibility for our lives. And if you want to start taking responsibility for your life, and that sounds really daunting, just dial it back, bite-sized pieces here. Just take responsibility for your thoughts. Where in your life, what is one place in your life where you are focusing on what you don't want? And I use this all the time. Traffic. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. Well, that is you focusing on what you don't want. Where maybe you're going after a job interview. I'm probably not going to get it. I interview really badly. I'm going to be nervous. These are things that you don't want. And each time you think about these things, you're giving those thoughts more power, these negative thoughts more power, and it's actually taking power away from you. So what is something that you're thinking about that you don't want or don't have? Well, most of the time, people think often, I don't have money. I don't have enough money. Things are so expensive. Well, I don't want them to be that expensive, but I'm thinking about them being that expensive, and I don't have extra money to pay for X, Y, and Z. So you're thinking about what you don't have. So when you think about these things and you're just being conscious and aware of, I am thinking about this thing that I don't want or that I don't have, how does it make you feel? Powerless, right? I can't change anything. So let's talk about things that you're focusing on that you can't change. I can't change the fact that this person did this to me, or I can't change the fact that this person didn't like me or they ghosted me on a dating app, or I can't change the fact that my kids haven't talked to me in a year, or I can't change the fact that I didn't get the promotion. I can't change that. But what you're doing is you're focusing on things that already happened. And a lot of times it kind of goes along with that first point of it's not necessarily something that you want. So you're thinking about something that you can't change. And then moving forward, what you can't control, that last thing that you probably think about. And this is what I love to focus on. And this is where I love to use my little traffic examples. Y'all know, if you have stuck around the podcast, you know, I do love a good traffic example, but you're focused on what you can't control. Oh my gosh, this road rage, these drivers are crazy. You cannot control them. You can't control anybody else's reactions. You can't change anybody else's decisions, choices, their own free will. So just start making a mental note of where in my life am I focused on what I don't want, what I don't have, what I can't change, and what I can't control. And then what you're going to do is simply change the narrative. That is the quickest way to start getting the most out of life. Because here's the thing, you start focusing on these things that you don't like, these things that are making you feel crappy. You're not necessarily motivated to go out there and take big risks and challenge yourself and do all this extra work and go after what you want. Because, I feel like I'm in pretty negative energy right now. So you're going to switch your energy first before you do any of the other steps. This is the most important one, because what you focus on, you get more of. Hands down, that is the facts of this podcast. If you do not believe that, turn this off. This is not for you. What you focus on, you get more of. And that is a hard truth to face. And these are the things that we talk about on the show. So this podcast is for you if you are ready for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to focus on not what you don't want. Well, what do you want? Well, I don't want to be late. What do you want? I want to be on time. Say those two sentences out loud next to each other. And it can be my example, or it can be whatever you are thinking about that you don't want. And then say what you actually do want. See how you feel when you say each of the things. I don't want to be late. I want to be on time. There is different energy that you are putting out with your words. So we're going to rephrase the way we say things by reframing the way we think about things. That thing that you don't have, I don't have enough money to pay for this bachelorette party that my best friend is having. It's in Mexico and I can't afford to go. I don't have the money. Okay, well, let's focus on what you do have. Well, I just told you, Meg, I don't have any money. Okay, well, what do you have? Again, that leaves you powerless. You're not going to Mexico on this trip, right? I do have, well, it sounds like you have a good friend who you really want to show up and be there for. Okay, yeah, I have a good friend. I have some money. Okay, well, now we're actually focused in a course of direction that's actually going to get you something instead of thinking that you are left with nothing. I can't go on this trip. I don't have any money. I'm going to miss out. FOMO, all the things. Well, what do you have? I do have a friend that I really care about, and I do have this amount of resources, and I have this amount of time in my schedule, and this is what I could do. And so now we're just starting to shift, and we're starting to get somewhere with this. Let's talk about what you can't change. Well, I can't change the past. I can't change the fact that my kids haven't talked to me in a year. Okay, well, what can you change about the situation? I can change my thoughts moving forward, thinking that they will reach out to me. I can change the way I communicate with them. I can change my attitude about it. I can change my hopefulness about it. I can change giving up on the whole situation. I can change my actions. Maybe depending on the situation, maybe I reach out. But stop thinking about what you can't change, which is most likely in the past, and think about what's something that you can change in the future. Again, taking that ownership, accountability, and responsibility for a solution moving forward. There's no solutions in the past. There's things that have worked out for that time, but there's no solutions in the past. The solutions are in the forward future direction. So let's start thinking there. That's probably where you'll find one. And again, what can't you control? I can't control these crazy drivers. Well, what can you control? I can control my speed. I can control me not multitasking while I'm driving, things like that. So when you just start to shift what you focus on, you're going to be able to move forward in a powerful stance to actually be able to get the most out of life. So that's the first thing. This is hands down the most important, is just changing the way you think. This makes sense to you? I recently put on a 21-day positive thinking challenge, and it included this type of work about things that you're focusing on. Now, if you missed the live challenge, that challenge is actually still available as a self-guided course on my website, and you can get that for a special offer through this podcast. So I will make sure that I link that in the show notes, and you can see how you can begin to use some helpful resources to help you shift your thoughts so you're not focusing on what you don't want, what you don't have, what you can't change or control. So you are exerting your attention and your energy around things that you actually want so you can get the most out of them. So definitely check that out in the show notes. I will make sure that I put that special offer in there for you. Because I will tell you this, you're not going to be able to get the most out of life if you constantly focus on what you don't want. And actually, when you experience a negative thought, and these thoughts cue up these negative emotions like worry, you find yourself anxious, or you find yourself complaining, these things are a huge sign that you are out of alignment with your higher self. Your higher self knows everything's going to work out. Your higher self has the plan to make sure everything works out. Your higher self knows that good is coming for you. Your higher self knows that you're somebody who things work out for. Your higher self knows that everything that you want is already yours and it's coming to you. But when you start thinking about all these things that are keeping you from that, you're never going to be able to align with your higher self. So I do want to just take a little sidestep here and say when it comes to negative emotions, like that, the anger and the sadness, I do want you to process those out. Let them out. Journal. Have the hard conversation. Scream in your car. Whatever you have to do to let that go so you can begin to realign with your higher self where you feel good about yourself, because feeling good feels good. So that leads right into that second way to get the most out of life, and that is to truly process out negative emotions. You got to let it out. We talked about journaling, have the hard conversation, scream in your car. You have to let it out. You are not going to be able to get the most out of life. Think about your hand, an empty handout that is reaching. Universe comes to deliver exactly what you want, the most out of life, the most enjoyment out of life. And your hand is open, but it's filled with all these things that you're holding on to. And one of those things is negative emotions. And a lot of times people think, oh, I'm getting the most out of life if I'm just the happiest out of life. And I'm talking to all Enneagram 7s on this podcast. Trust me, I am one. I know. Avoiding a negative emotion does not mean you can get rid of it faster. Avoiding it, ignoring it, actually means you stuff it down and you carry it around longer. So you're not going to be able to get the most out of life when your hand is filled with things that you are not letting go of, including negative emotions. So let it out. The first way you can do it is by yourself. Scream in your car. If you've never done that, it does feel good. I do recommend that the car is in park. 2, once you let that out, it's just kind of, feels good. Journal. Spend some time with yourself. Journal about what you're feeling, or just even spend time even just thinking about what you feel. What do I feel? If I had to name an emotion, what is the emotion that I feel? And then where do I think this might be coming from? Okay. And then is there something deeper? Because typically the first time that you identify an emotion, it's not really the root, it's the symptom. And I'll walk you through an example. I'm so angry right now. That's the emotion I'm feeling. This guy cut me off. I've been driving and I am angry. This is my own personal example. I'm angry. I'm going to let this out. And maybe this is where you scream while you're driving. Again, don't recommend that. But I'm identifying that I'm angry. Okay, why am I angry? I'm angry because this guy cut me off and he almost caused me to wreck. Okay, well, why does that make you angry? Ask yourself, why? Well, I'm angry because it made me scared that I was going to wreck my car. So it comes to something deeper. It comes into something, I'm actually angry, that's a symptom, because I was filled with fear. Now I can know what to actually address and process out. I'm processing out not necessarily the anger. Maybe the scream got the anger out, but the fear. Oh my gosh, I have to process out the fear of this experience. Nothing happened to me. I'm okay. I am so thankful that everything is okay and nobody got hurt. So processing out those negative emotions is that second way to get the most out of life. Don't carry them around longer by stuffing them down. You have to let them out. Have the hard conversation. If it's a negative emotion with somebody else, sit down and have a conversation and just know that you can go in and have a positive conflict with somebody. It does not have to be this big, reactive, angry, emotionally upsetting uprise of emotions. So if this is something that's alive for you right now, I actually just did a podcast on confrontation, but we're going to go into that third way to get the most out of life. And this is something that I so believe in. I talk about this on the podcast all the time, is practicing gratitude. Oh my gosh, this guy, he almost made me crash my car. I didn't. I'm processing out the fear. I'm focusing on what I do want, what I do have, what I can control. And I'm going to practice gratitude on top of that. I am so thankful that everybody on the road is okay. Gratitude is actual literal gold. And I know I talk about this all the time. It's because it is so important. It is actual gold because what you appreciate, what you spend time thinking about, what you appreciate, appreciates. So stop thinking about all the money that you don't have in your bank account, thinking about what we don't have. Appreciate all the money that you do have in your bank account. even if it's not getting you to Mexico on the bachelorette party. I am appreciating the money that I do have because what I appreciate appreciates what you think of, you get more of. And I recently have a whole podcast dedicated to gratitude. So just scroll back a couple episodes if you want a whole podcast episode on it. But really, it's what you think of, you get more of. What you appreciate appreciates. How can you be grateful for the money that you do have? Guess what? Law of attraction, if I appreciate it, whatever I'm appreciating appreciates. I will get more money. I will attract more money. I will get more business opportunities, more job interviews, more opportunities to mend relationships, more fun adventures, more money in your bank account. So practicing gratitude just makes you feel good too. Because getting the most out of life, it's about feeling good, which leads us right into our fourth way to get the most out of life. It does feel good to feel good, but don't let this actually hinder you. Because the fourth thing is accepting the fact that you're not going to be happy all of the time. I know that was actually painful for me to say. It really was, because I just want to be happy all the time. Yes, of course we want to be happy all the time, but here's where we can link in that gratitude. And actually, I just kind of ordered these in a very random way as they came to me, but I do love how they're all linking up. That just kind of worked out. This is great. So point 4, accept that you're not going to be happy all the time. How the hell is that going to help me get the most out of life? Because it's actually going to allow you to be happier when you're actually happy. Gratitude for when you are happy and relieving yourself of the expectation that you have to be happy all the time. Because when I expect myself to be happy all the time, this is how I should feel. And this is how I actually feel. I feel really crappy or angry or sad right now, but I have this expectation that I should feel happy all the time. The word should, that is where unhappiness breeds. The word should. I should be happy all the time because I expected to be happy all the time, but I feel crappy. Something's lacking in my life. Immediate lack mindset kicks in when you use the word should. I should feel happy, but I don't. So something's wrong. No, nothing's wrong. You're a human being. You're not going to be happy all the time. So when you are happy, you can appreciate it. Wow, I feel really happy right now. And you can be present in that happiness. And I'm going to bring in a Buddhist concept of everything is temporary. Your happiness is temporary. And that's not to be foreboding or make you scared, but your happiness is temporary. The flip side, whatever else, your pain, your suffering, your anger, your fear, your sadness. So your situation, your circumstance, that is also temporary. So just know this will end. It's temporary. And if you were to look at your day, let's just look at your day, the day that you either are about to have or the day that you had. If you looked at everything on your day and said, everything is temporary, how would you feel about that? What would you do differently? Everything was temporary. This meeting that I really don't want to sit in with this a-hole. It's temporary. Oh, okay. Well, if it's temporary, I guess that makes it better. It's just realizing that it's okay that you might be a little annoyed for 30 minutes in this meeting. But if you practice focusing on that first technique of thinking about things that you do want, that you do have, that you can change, that you can control, it's going to make those 30 minutes even better, more manageable, more tolerable, more you can stomach it. And then know, hey, happiness is coming. So when you do experience that happiness, you can really appreciate it. And that's what I love. I grew up in Pennsylvania where you have 4 seasons. So we had summer, which is really nice, mid-80s, nice temperatures. Then you have this really beautiful fall where the fall foliage, the leaves, they change colors and there's these beautiful red and yellow, huge, big maple and oak leaves. I actually have no idea. I'm not a tree person, but the leaves are really pretty. I know colors. They were red, they were green, they were orange, they were yellow. And they're just beautiful, purple even. Then it goes into winter, which typically people didn't really like up there. I'm not a winter person, but some people do, I guess, if you like to ski and do all those outside winter activities. And then you have this beautiful spring where you have these beautiful flowers popping up and it's a really great temperature. But the point is, they're all temporary. And if you know that, and if you're somebody who's like me who doesn't like winter, guess what? It's okay. Spring is coming. I'm not going to treat today like it's going to be like this forever. I'm going to focus on what I do want. Well, I want spring to come. Yeah, that's what I want. I'm going to focus on the spring coming. It's just immediately shifts your focus. And again, what you focus on, you get more of. It's a better way to live life. And when I tell you, if you apply these things to your life will instantly improve. I am telling you the truth. I promise. These are things that I have personally applied. I did not go to Google and look up ways to get the most out of life. These are my personal practices that I'm telling you will change your life. The next one is kind of along the lines of everything is temporary, is enjoy the time that you're in. Be present. Be present. This is a life hack. And if you remember one thing from this podcast, remember this. You don't get enjoyment out of your day because you didn't actually enjoy the parts of your day. Because most of the time, anxiety runs the show, and anxiety is this emotion of the future. It's like, hey, what's going to happen in the future? And if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, please go see Inside Out 2. There's all these emotions inside of a little girl's head. And the first one was super cute too, but they all interact with each other. And anxiety comes as the main character is approaching puberty. And so anxiety shows up and she's got all these bags to unpack. But she's like, hi, I protect Riley from things that we can't see. And it's like, all these things that are going to happen in the future, right? Because anxiety runs the show, a lot of the times our mind is constantly in the future. I got to do this. I got to do this. Or sometimes, the guilt and the shame of the past. I didn't do this. That comes into. But your mind is very rarely present. And we oftentimes think about what I have to do next. And I'm going to bring in a personal experience that just happened to me. I was explaining this to somebody. So shout out, Elena. I know you listen every week. So thank you. And thank you for sharing this podcast with all of your friends. I truly do appreciate that. And I'm going to bring in a conversation that Elena and I had. I was teaching a soul cycle class and we were walking up the stairs, and she also is an Enneagram 7. So if you haven't taken the Enneagram personality test, there's also a link for that in the show notes, but spot on. That's all I'll share in this episode. But it's hard for 7s to be present because we always want to do this, do this, do this, do this. That packed Google Calendar of just where can I squeeze in a little bit more because I don't want to be bored. God, I don't want to be bored. That would be awful. So we are constantly thinking about what I have to do next. And it's not just Enneagram 7s, it's us all. And it's not just people with anxiety, it's us all. What do I have to do next? So we're walking up the stairs, and I'm actually explaining how we don't get the most out of life is because I was walking up the stairs with Elena. We're having a great conversation, but I'm about to go to my friend Christy's house for dinner. So if I was not getting the most out of life, this is what I would do. I would be multitasking on my phone, probably texting Christy, hey, I'm going to be on my way. I'm thinking about what I have to stop and bring and pick up on the way. And I'm thinking about, how late am I going to stay? Well, it depends what time I get there. What time am I going to get there? Well, let me pull up my Google Maps. And Elena's just talking to me. We're having a conversation. She's talking, but I'm not fully in tune. I'm not present. We leave, we part ways. I go have a dinner with my friend Christy. I come back and I don't experience the joy out of that conversation that I had with Elena, because I wasn't actually there for it. My mind was somewhere else. And so what I have is this craving of, oh man, I really miss Elena. I really want to have a good conversation with her. When can I do that next? And so now we're adding more on to our future, when really it's like, hey, you could experience the joy if you just show up where your body is. So wherever your body is, just make sure your mind gets there too. And the best way you can use that is to actually use your body, use your senses, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. If you are somebody who is a multitasker, stop. Just stop. Get the most out of life. Stop multitasking. Put your phone down. Look at people in the eye. The text can wait. Nobody needs you right now. Enjoy where you are. So you can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. That'll actually just help jar your mind back to the present moment. You can look the person in the eyes, start to notice things about them. What does their hair look like today? What are they wearing? Use your senses. What does the temperature feel like on your skin? What does it feel like when you give that person a hug? Are there any smells, right? Are you standing in a beautiful garden? Or maybe you're outside of a Raising Cane's and it smells like delicious fried chicken. I don't know. But use your senses and your body to bring your mind into the moment that you're in so you can enjoy it. And there's this manifesting technique. It comes right from the law of attraction. It's called segment intention or segment intending. And segment intending, essentially, it's a technique that involves creating focused segments for your day or for a specific activity. And then you want to form an intention for how you want each segment to go. So we often, move from segment to segment without marking a transition, and we just kind of react to whatever happens, and we bring in segments that aren't here yet into the present, like me thinking about my dinner with Christy while I'm sitting there talking to Elena. I'm not going to get the most out of life because I'm actually not in that moment. Segment intending can actually help you live in the moment and then get the most out of it. This is how segment intending works. You're going to break down your day. So let's talk about my situation here. I taught a soul cycle class. That is one segment. I am talking to Elena for 20 minutes after my soul cycle class. That is another segment. I'm going to drive to Christy's house, another segment. And then I'm at Christy's house eating dinner. That is another segment. That is 4 segments in my evening. So if you're someone who's like morning, afternoon, evening, no, there's so much more than that you are missing out on and can get the most of. So you're going to break down your day into these smaller chunks of time. Then you're going to create a general statement of intent. For my soul cycle class, my intention is to keep everybody safe and provide a fun experience. So that's what I focus on. That is my intention that I am setting for that time. I'm not thinking about driving to Christie's, what I have to stop and pick up on the way. I'm not thinking about our conversation. I'm not thinking about what I have to do tomorrow. I am here in these 45 minutes. And again, I can use my body to be more present and just really notice what's around me. So then as I move into my next segment, it was unplanned, but this really great conversation with Elena, my segment, I acknowledge that the soul cycle class is over. I'm on to my next segment. My intention here is to really focus on what she's saying and just be present in the conversation. That's my intention. And you're going to be deliberate about your intentions. You're actually going to create what you want. That's kind of the point here. If I set this intention for being a good listener, then I am going to deliberately focus on being a good listener. And that means not multitasking on my phone, not thinking about what I have to do next. So then my next segment, my intention is to drive safely to Christy's house and be focused. And then once I get to Christy's house, my intention is to catch up with an old friend, again, not multitask and just have good conversation. These intentions don't have to be groundbreaking. Keep them simple. But what you're going to do is you're going to acknowledge that you have different segments throughout your life. When I move from segment to segment, you close the segment. And you can even do this with gratitude. I would be leaving Soul Cycle, having a conversation with Elena. Oh, this unexpected, amazing conversation. Thank you, Soul Cycle, for an amazing class. Period. Moving on. I'm not thinking about Soul Cycle anymore. And this works really great if you're carrying around, oh my gosh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I wish I would have done that. Why did I pick that song? Why did I pick that move? Why did I say this? That was weird. If you're somebody who has a lot of those thoughts, this is going to be a game changer for you. Period. Close that chapter. That segment is over. I'm not thinking about it anymore. I am intentionally focused on my conversation with Elena. I get in my car. Thank you, Elena, for a great conversation. Segment's over. I'm now focused on safely getting to my destination. Hey, thank you for the safe drive. Let me walk in here. The new segment, I'm going to have a conscious conversation with my friend Christy, and that's where I'm at. So that is segment intention. If you are somebody who is just like, okay, well, I get up, I go to work for 8 hours a day, and then I come home and I have like 2 hours of free time before, it's time to get the kids ready for bed or whatever it is, do my nightly duties. You're not going to be able to get the most out of life because you're not seeing all the beautiful segments, because there's beauty in all these segments. So what you're going to do is take your morning, because it's not just morning, work and then a couple hours at night. It's no, what are you going to do? Okay, my segment, wake up. That's one segment. What is my next segment? Morning routine. What are the parts of it? And be intentional with, I'm going to enjoy my coffee. I'm going to enjoy my journaling. My intention for this segment is to not get on social media, whatever it is, but you're not focused on the whole day because it's kind of daunting, but you're really going to be able to enjoy your morning coffee and your morning routine. Thank you for the delicious coffee and my time with myself. I'm moving on to, okay, now I'm driving to work. Here's my intention. And here we go into the work again. And if you're going to notice, hey, for 8 hours of this day, what are your segments look like? Meeting, meeting, meeting. I got some time to work on this. And then I go to lunch. And then I have a meeting. And then I have some more free time. And then I'm wrapping the day up with just one more meeting. Okay, those are all different segments. So you're going to create an intention for each of those segments. And again, keep them simple. But when you look at your day and you're saying, hey, all these segments, I'm not really seeing any joy in any of them. All you have to do is just schedule joy. Joy from Inside Out 2 wants to come to work with you. So schedule 5 minutes of joy. What does that look like? It could be calling a friend, catching up on the 86 texts in your group chat, which that actually does not sound like joy. But if that is joy for you, go for it. Whatever that is, but schedule some segments of joy and you get ahead of it. Oh, I'm going to have some joy at my 8-hour workday. So that is segment intending. It is great. Keep it simple. And you can write it down if you want. If you just want to do it verbally or just even mentally in your head, try it. It works. It will allow you to get the most out of life. The next one, we're going to stop wasting our time. We're going to start tracking our time in our segments, but we're going to stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your time. You are not going to get the most out of life when you waste it. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to ditch the negative habits. You're going to ditch the negative relationships. These things are draining you. You do not need them in your life. Get rid of them. How you spend your time and with whom you spend your time are so important. Time, your most non-renewable resource. How do you spend it? Do you get the most out of it? Are people adding value to your life? If they're not, get rid of them. I'm telling you, get rid of them. So let's talk about adding value. You're going to get people in your life who add value to your life, who are fountains, who fuel you, who fill you up, who support you, who want the best for you. But you're also going to add value to your own life. How can you add value to your life? And it's going to be different for everybody who listens to this podcast. How can you add value to your life? More meaningful conversations. Read a book. Listen to a podcast. How can you add value to your life? Think about it and then commit to it. And while you're adding value to your own life, I want you to add value to others. You will immediately feel better. If you are having a really crappy day and you're not getting the most out of even your day, add value to others. Say hi to someone. It feels really good. Make eye contact with someone and smile. Help somebody. Pay it forward. Volunteer. Have a conversation with someone without looking at your phone. Ask how somebody is doing and really listen. On my last retreat, we were all talking about how life just moves so quickly. We never even get time to even catch up with people who we haven't seen in a while. You pass them in the hallway, like, oh my gosh, hey, how have you been? And it's this superficial, oh yeah, I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm good too. That's great. Okay, see you next time. And it's not meaningful. So get to the juice. Have a meaningful conversation. Hey, oh my gosh, how have you been? What's been the best part of your life going on? What's going on with you? And get to the meat and the potatoes. Add value to others. Serve as someone who's just even there, just listening, just for 60 seconds. Truly listen. This goes without saying, but stop scrolling on your phone. You are missing life because you are too busy looking at everybody else's. Period. So what you can do to add value to your life is our next point. It's our 7th point. Schedule time with yourself. Rest daily and decompress in a healthy way. So just going back to my seasons of everything's temporary. Enjoy these beautiful flowers. Enjoy the nice weather in the summer. Enjoy the fall foliage. Enjoy, I guess, skiing or ice skating if you really like winter, but enjoy cozying up on the couch with hot chocolate. But enjoy these things because they're temporary, but also don't expect summer year round. Don't expect spring year round. Nothing grows all year long, including yourself. Nothing grows all day long, including yourself. Rest. Decompress in a healthy way. And once again, does not mean massively consuming negative social media, but decompress in whatever way that feels good for you. Take a bath, read a book, journal, mentally reflect on your day. How did you actually feel about it? And a great way to get the most out of life is to go out into nature daily. Take a walk, 5-10 minutes. It does not have to be this long, crazy thing, but get outside. If you can't go for a walk, stick your bare feet in the grass for 15 seconds. It's called grounding, and it is amazing the restorative and energetic powers that it immediately will fill your body with. It's called grounding. So just stick your bare feet in the grass. Feels great. And the last way to get the absolute most out of life is this. Take the risk. And you know which one I'm talking about. Andrea Isabel Lucas is a friend of mine, and she was on the podcast a while back. She wrote the book called Own It All. It's an amazing book. But she asks, hey, what is the biggest risk that you can take today? It doesn't have to be the big thing. It doesn't have to be this end all be all, oh my gosh, let me quit my job or get divorced or whatever. It doesn't have to be these big risks. But what is the biggest risk that I can take today? Maybe it's taking a workshop on my side hustle that I would like to start to eventually replace my 9-to-5 job. The biggest risk today, going on LinkedIn, making a connection, applying for the job, downloading the app, making the phone call. It does not have to be the big thing, but what is the biggest risk that you can take today? Because if you want to get the most out of life, it is going to require you to step out of complacency and step into courage. If I were to ask you this one question, I want you to answer it honestly. What would 20 seconds of insane courage look like for you today? And how can we implement some of that into your life today? Take the risk. It will be worth it. And I actually have another podcast on overcoming fear. It's just a couple episodes back. Do this in a smart way. Go back and listen to the episode. It goes over the best way to actually analyze the risk and go forth towards what you actually want and align with your desires in a courageous yet responsible way. So definitely check that out too. But that's what I got for you today. 8 simple ways to get the most out of life. 1, you're going to be careful what you focus on. You're going to stop thinking about what you don't want, what you don't have, what you can't change, what you can't control. 2, you're going to process out your negative emotions. Do not let them sit. 3, practice gratitude daily. 4, accept that you are not going to be happy all the time, and that's okay because everything is temporary. 5, you're going to enjoy the time that you're in and be present. Use that segment and technique. 6, you're going to stop wasting your time. Add value to your life. Add value to other people's lives. You're going to schedule time with yourself and rest and decompress. Get into nature, but schedule time with yourself. The last way to get the most out of life is take the risk. Take the biggest risk that you can today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, subscribe. I post episodes like this all the time. And if you know somebody else who wants to get the most out of life, send this to them. I so appreciate every time that you share my podcast or share a reel or share it on your stories with everybody else. It helps me grow. It helps them grow. It helps you grow. It helps us all grow so I can continue to produce these episodes for y'all and get amazing guests on the show for us all to learn from. That's all I got for you today. But if I could leave you with just one thing, it would be this. Expect good things. Always. And they will happen. Be sure to check out my brand new digital course, 21 Days to Positive Thoughts. Go from being consumed with negativity to actually thinking kind things about yourself in only 3 weeks? That's right. Head over to letscreateyourfate.com or check out the link in the notes to get 21 days to positive thoughts now. And for a limited time, you can get the course for only $29 when you take my free masterclass, Manifesting 101. That's right, 2 courses for only $29. Download them today and start creating your best life ever. That's all I got for you today. But of course, if I could leave you with just one thing, it would be this. Expect good things always, and they will happen.